Here we are in Rishikesh, India, and here with Sadhvi Bhagawati Saraswati. And Sadhvi, throughout my time here in Rishikesh, people refer to Ganga. Even back in the United States, people refer to Ganga. And here we are on the banks of Ganga. Could you shed some light on the significance of Ganga?
Sure. Ganga is actually a goddess. She came down to earth in the form of the river to bring liberation to the sons of King Sagar. It's a very long story.
Okay.
But the gist of it is that the water is actually just her form. It's not her essence. Her essence is the goddess. There was Ganga long before there were molecules of H2O flowing in this riverbed. As a goddess, she brings life and liberation. Her waters flow. She took this form in order to bring actual liberation to King Sagar's sons who had passed on. The significance for us is on so many levels. Number one, it's the goddess. And that's, of course, a challenge as well, because when you deal with issues of pollution, which, for example, we're working so much on, Ganga at her essence is untaintable, undefilable, unpollutable. I mean, she's pure, she's the goddess. If your mother were going for a walk and fell in a puddle of mud, or even fell in the sewer, she'd still be your mother. Having fallen in the sewer wouldn't render her any less able to bless you as your mother. You wouldn't love her any less as your mother. She wouldn't be able to fulfill her motherly duties any less. And so when you talk to people about Ganga being polluted, it's actually really interesting because you get a lot of people saying, like, that's sacrilege. What do you mean Ganga's polluted? Ganga's the unpollutable purifier. And so one of the paradoxes and the challenges that we've been working with actually is simply the semantics of how to phrase it. And so we talk a lot about, for example, the fact that, okay, Ganga as her goddess essence is unpollutable, ever pure, ever perfect. Her ability to give liberation, moksha, is unchangeable. It doesn't matter what you dump in Ganga. It doesn't change her ability to bring liberation any more than your mother's ability to be your mother would be affected by her falling in a puddle. On the other hand, there's about 500 million people who live in the Ganga basin and depend upon her, not for liberation, not for moksha, but actually for their water that they drink, for the water that they cook with, for the water they bathe with, for the water that irrigates their fields. About a third of India is fed by the agriculture grown in the Ganga River basin. So now you start talking about people who are dependent upon not her divine essence, but the actual form, the roop, these molecules of H2O, who are dependent upon not your mother's essence, but the clothes she's wearing. And when those clothes get defiled or muddy or polluted, these people suffer. So that's the concept of Ganga as the goddess. But a beautiful aspect of her that, Puja Swamiji always emphasizes is that Ganga gives. She gives and gives and gives with no hesitation. Ganga never wakes up one day and says, I don't know if I feel like flowing today. Let me think about it. No hesitation. No discrimination. She doesn't say, I'm going to irrigate the fields and farms of Hindus but not Muslims, or Jews but not Christians, or Brahmins but not low caste people. No discrimination. She flows for everyone. No expectation. She never says, oh, if you pray to me, perform my puja, then I'll flow. You didn't do my arti last night, so I'm not flowing for you, right? That's how so many of us are in our giving. If you thank me, if you love me, if you worship me, if you give me something in return, I'll flow for you. But if you metaphorically just dump your trash in me and ignore me, I'm not going to flow. I have an expectation that I should be thanked and respected and worshipped and prayed to. And when you don't, well, then forget it. So Ganga flows with no discrimination, no hesitation, no expectation, and no vacation. Ganga doesn't take Sundays off and say, today is my day off. So Pujya Swamiji always says, we should take that inspiration, and when we sit on the banks of Ganga and pray and worship, it's not just worshiping her as the divine, but it's taking that message of how we should flow and how we should give. Can we also learn to give without hesitation and without discrimination and without expectation? So that's another really important aspect. The final thing, I guess, for me, on a personal meditation level, is, for a long time, I was trying to meditate on a still point in the midst of movement, because it felt like things are so busy, there's just so much going on, and let my meditation be on the stillness amidst the movement. And it was beautiful, and for years I did this meditation, and I did it with eyes closed in my room and eyes opened on the banks of Ganga, looking at a rock as the water flows over the rock. And so there's movement, but there's this place of stillness. And then a few years ago it shifted, and I realized that which I think is still is not even actually still, because over that rock, what I'm watching is constantly moving. Every molecule. I mean, my vision looks the same. Rock, water. That looks still. But actually, it's completely different millisecond from millisecond, because the molecules of water flowing on the rock have changed. The rock itself is changing. My eyes aren't good enough to watch the erosion of the rock. But it's constantly changing, just like the cells of my skin are constantly coming off. And then I realized, okay, so actually what it is the essence of Ganga is what's the same. The form, from the micro level to the macro level, from the molecule level to the full river level, is constantly moving. There's not one aspect of Ganga that actually is still. Down in her depths, on the surface, it's constantly moving. And yet, the essence of Ganga is unchanging. And that in that frame of vision, that which was unchanging was not form but essence. And so it became this very, very deep and beautiful meditation for me of, can I anchor myself not in stillness amidst the movement, but in essence amidst the form?
And this sounds like what the yogis and yoginis in the caves all along the Ganga have been meditating on for centuries.
Well, if you stand in Ganga long enough, you get wet.